Hello, friends. Welcome to the Untold Cases. Let's start with the story of the Sodder Children. On Christmas night 1945, a house caught fire in West Virginia. 5 children were inside. The fire was put out by morning, but the children were never found. No bones, no ash, no remains, nothing. And that is where the real mystery begins. This is not a cold case. This is a case that should have been simple, a house fire, a tragic accident. But the evidence that emerged over the next 30 years suggested something far darker. Something that the local authorities and possibly the United States government wanted buried. This is the story of the Sodder children. No, this is not a story. This is what actually happened. George and Jenny Sodder lived in Fayetteville, West Virginia, with their 10 children. George had immigrated from Italy and built a successful trucking business. By all accounts, a happy family. But George had made an enemy. In the months before Christmas, 1945, a stranger came to his door. The man wanted to buy George's trucks for insurance. George refused. The stranger turned at the door and said, "Your house is going to go up in smoke, and your children are going to be destroyed." George reported this to the police. Nothing was done. 3 months later, on December 24th, the Sodder house caught fire at around 1 in the morning. George and Jenny woke to the smell of smoke. They got 4 of their children out, but 5 others, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny Jr. and Betty, were trapped upstairs. George tried to re-enter the burning house. He could not. He ran to get his ladder. It was gone. Vanished from the side of the house where it always stood. He tried to use his truck to climb up to the window. Both trucks would not start. These were trucks he had driven just hours earlier. He tried to call the fire department. The phone was dead. By the time firefighters arrived, hours later, the house had burned to the ground. But here is what no one could explain. The fire chief sifted through the ashes the next morning. A house fire hot enough to kill 5 children and destroy their bones entirely would need to burn at over 1,000 degrees for hours. This fire burned for 45 minutes. There were no bones, no teeth, no remains of any kind. The fire chief ruled it an accident and closed the case. Within days, George and Jenny refused to accept this, and over the years, strange things surfaced. In 1947, a woman contacted Jenny. She said she'd seen the children being driven away in a car the night of the fire, alive. In 1952, a woman in a hotel in Florida saw a group of children matching the Sodder kids' descriptions. She tried to speak to them. The adults with them moved them away quickly. And then, in 1967, 22 years after the fire, Jenny received a letter in the mail. Inside was a photograph. It showed a young man in his 20s. On the back it read, "Louis Sodder. I love brother Frankie. ILIL boys, a 90132. Louis Sodder was one of the 5 missing children. The letter had no return address. The postmark was from Kentucky. The photograph has never been traced. To this day, no one knows who sent it. So what really happened that night? There are 3 theories, and none of them have a clean answer. Theory 1, the mafia connection. George had publicly criticized Mussolini in the years leading up to World War II. Some researchers believe Italian organized crime figures saw this as a threat and arranged for his children to be taken as punishment. The threatening stranger at his door fits this theory. Theory 2, the children survived, the missing ladder, the dead trucks, the cut phone lines, the absence of remains. Some investigators believe the fire was set deliberately, that the children were removed before it started, and the staged tragedy was meant to stop George from looking. The 1967 photograph suggests at least one child may have been alive. Decades later, Theory 3, a cover-up. The fire chief who closed the case had previously had a public argument with George Sodder. The case was closed within 24 hours, with no formal investigation. Some believe local authorities were complicit, either bribed or threatened. Jenny Sodder put up a billboard on the highway near her home. On it were the faces of her 5 missing children and the words, "Do you know anything about these children?" That billboard stood for 30 years. Jenny died in 1989, still believing her children had been taken, not burned. The case remains officially closed. The photograph from Kentucky has never been explained. So I'll leave you with this. Who do you think sent that letter? Tell me in the comments, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Soon I will be there with the lots of unsolved cases and mysteries in the channel very soon. Till then, try to solve the unsolved.